Taking, just be. Don't take it. Taking, just don't be. And live my life. Don't take it personal. I ain't lying. I ain't hiding. I've been grinding, multiplying. I've been trying to get my weight up, staying prayed up, meditating and taking time away. You always posting up pictures, trying to look like you winning. I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking in moments we live in, yeah. You got the nerve to be on me, faking your life for the IG. If you got my number, don't add me, cause baby, I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. Baby, don't check for me. Taking time out to be and live my life off screen. Taking time out to be and live my life. Hey. Taking just don't be and live my life. Don't take it personal. We just building. It's my season, lay foundation. Make a name for generations, please, and make a then take a break or a little vacation and chasing blues away. Hey, hey. You always posting up pictures, trying to look like you winning, or look like you always be working, soaking the moments you live in. Yeah, you got the nerve to be on me, faking your life for the IG. If you got my number, don't add me, cause baby, I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. Baby, don't check for me. Taking time out to be and live my life off screen. Taking time out to be and live my life. I'm in a place serene and pure and free. Hey, I ain't worried about what's the wave, only worry about me. Yeah. Oh, I'm taking.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nate Manahan, and I am here in Indianapolis, Indiana, on a beautiful sunny day, August 7th. It's a Friday. It's a feel-good Friday. We're going to have a lot of great things to talk about this morning as we talk about how you can take your merchant portfolio, the merchants you already have if you're in this industry, and you can grow the revenue. We're going to talk about ways you can do that. We're going to give tips. We're going to give tricks. We're going to have a lot of fun. All this on the High Five. Let's go.
The time has come, the questions are set, opinions hide, discussions are led, a show about nothing and everything, it's all the same. We've got sports, entertainment, sales, and marketing. It's time for the High Five. We've got it all covered. It's time for the High Five. We've got it all covered. Yeah. The High Five.
All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to bring in a couple of my friends, the ones who really make the show all the much better. On the far left-hand side, the one, the man, the myth, the legend, the one who absolutely is making a difference in the partners' lives across the United States, but most importantly in Bodie Jean and soon to be another little kid's life, Mr. Danny Shard. How are you, Danny? Let's see. Do I hear you? Why don't I hear you? I don't hear anybody. Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, I love it when I go live and everything. Suddenly I don't hear them through Zoom. Let me check a couple things.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, there. I just don't hear Danny. Danny's muted then. I heard Brian Linky. Well, let me bring in Mr. Brian Linky while we figure out Danny Shard. How are you, Brian Linky?
I'm really well, Nate. Thanks for asking. It's a beautiful Friday Friday, weekend's upon us, and I'm thinking about taking maybe a little bit of time off this afternoon. Probably won't be able to, but I'm going to try. And all I'm going to say is this technology thing, I've got it down pat. I don't know what you and Danny are doing, but if you need any tips, just let me know.
Oh yeah, that is I'm trying to get you refreshed because currently the screen. There we go. All right, so I think I've got you moving. We're trying to figure all this out. I got it moving now. Let's see if I can get a Danny. For some reason, I don't hear a Danny. And Danny hears us because he's going to shake his head right now and say, "Yes, I hear you." All right. So, but we just
hear you.
Oh, there we. Now we hear you.
I can hear you, Dan.
Now we hear you,
Dan. I actually hear you. Like in my sleep, I hear you.
All right. Okay, so much for these incredible intros. I don't know what's going on. We've got three of us here. We're all on. We're connected from three different locations across the United States. Hey, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we couldn't even do this. When Brian Linke was born, we were still pushing cars like the Flintstones, and now we're here. We're making it work. It's Friday.
Friday.
It is Friday. I can tell that the Comcast gremlins are out to get us today, the little Xfinity gremlins, but we're going to keep fighting through. And I want to talk today. We're going to start with something fun, then we're going to get into how you can make, because all today we're just talking about how you make a little cash. But we're going to start a little bit. I want to know, I have loved having sports back in the last 2 weeks. Baseball's back. I've watched all kinds of basketball. But it was interesting to me yesterday, and I was interested in what you guys think about this. So the sports has been like a huge upper for me, but I've been cheering on two winning teams. I've been cheering on the Pacers and the Cubs. And yesterday was the first day, and they're both, they're 4-1 and 10-3. But it was the first day they both lost on the same day. And I want to say I felt it last night. Brian? When that, it was interesting to me how much that kind of even brought me down a little bit. And this morning I didn't have quite the kick in my step, and I'm like, okay, sports shouldn't be that important. But man, have I loved having sports back to watch as I do things in the evening and just have it on in the background. How about you, gentlemen?
Well, when the Cubs lose, I can just tell you this: it bothers me. Okay, so so during the 162 game season, you're gonna. What's the saying? Everybody wins 50 and everybody loses 50 every year, right? So it just bothers me when the Seminoles lose. I just go to bed. But that's just something that I have to struggle with. So.
And I'm like, sometimes do we keep it too important? But Danny, I should know this. I watched the Astros get whooped the other night. They haven't been playing their greatest ball, mostly because I think they're scared of people throwing at their heads. But, and their pitchers are not having the best. I don't know, they don't even have to get in the batter's box and are not having the great games. But, what do you think? We're those of us who are sports fans, and not everybody watching this is a sports fan. I already just got a text, we're not all sports fans. I know you're not all sports fans. But one of the things about sports is it gives us energy, and it kind of boosts our spirits, but it also can be too important sometimes, right? I mean, if we don't win, I don't know. I was trying to figure that out because I just noticed I was a different person this morning because my two teams lost yesterday and it hadn't happened yet in a while.
I think it just gives us something else to be passionate about and kind of take your mind off of the real world a little bit, right? That's what it is for me. Just kind of get passionate about something else. The Astros are not starting off great. Yes, they are afraid of getting beamed by some pitchers, but it seems to happen once a game. They're 500. They're 6-6. There's quite a few games left, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But.
Well, and the amazing thing is there is quite a few games left, but there's still only 60. It's an interesting world. But let's talk about. Let me jump in here a little bit of how we can make extra cash. How we can make extra revenue on merchants and customers that we already have. And in every industry, no matter what you're selling in, the customers you already have and are already in the fold are your best customers. And a lot of times the ones you need to be focusing on are the ones you already have, so you can keep that revenue and increase that revenue. So one of the things I was thinking about is let's talk about ways that you can increase your revenue and help out your merchants as you go. And so really we're talking about making some more cash. But the first thing I want to talk about is, and I'm going to throw this to Danny, is how we can take, it's in the name of it, a merchant cash advance and help out our merchants and help our partners too. So Danny, we talk a lot about Cash Buoy. They're wonderful partners that we work with. Can you help guide us through what is a merchant cash advance and why do we love working with Cash Buoy so much?
Yeah, so the merchant cash advance business is challenging to say the least for a lot. It's a very competitive industry. It's a way for merchant to get capital goal. It's not a traditional loan, but it's capital based on future receivables, right? So their credit card processing helps them pay back the advance. It's not cheap money, but it's a lot easier than going to a bank and getting a traditional business loan, especially during these times. Just banks aren't giving out loans. Banks aren't giving out money. I've talked to quite a few partners, even just in the last couple of weeks, that are talking to merchants more and more about the need for cash. And it seems to be a consistent theme where they're saying, well, we're going to wait and see if the government comes out with another PPP loan. And I think that that's unrealistic for a lot of businesses right now. So there's a lot of merchants where volume is actually picking up. Some merchants are seeing an increase from where they were last year. A lot of merchants are flat. A lot of other merchants are down, and possibly even having to consider the difficult decision of closing their business. And so I think that really the conversation should be like, don't wait, get some capital that you need to maintain, to keep your doors open. And this is what Cash Buoy does really well. One of the reasons why we're just so lucky to have them as a partner, because they approach these situations not to get the most out of the merchant, right? They don't want to give the merchant the most money they can qualify for so they can capitalize more on it. They want to get the merchant the money that they need so that way the merchant can keep running their business. So there's a big difference between what they want and can qualify for versus what they actually need. And I think that's a big thing that Cash Buoy does, because we want to keep these merchants in business, right? So we can all continue to make revenue on processing and renewals if they do need future advances. From a partner's perspective, there's excellent revenue to be made by offering these types of programs and cash advances to merchants. Partners can get 10%, and we're actually doing a little promotion this month with Cash Buoy on the funded amount. So if a partner is able to talk to a merchant and a merchant gets, for example, $10,000, the partner is going to get $1,000 in commission on that advance.
And they're going to get $1,000, but in March, or right now in March, what are we? I've lost my brain this morning. It's not March. In August, they not only get 1,000, they get 1,200 because they're getting 12%. We're giving Cash Buoy, our wonderful partners at Cash Buoy, are giving an extra 2 percentage points bumps, and I think that's just a great opportunity and a great experience. Brian, I know you've done lots of merchant cash advances for your personal merchants, and can you talk a little bit, not so much the process, but why that's been so helpful and why that is helpful to your merchants? How has that helped them out to be able to get that capital when they aren't going to be able to walk into a bank and get a loan, talk a little bit about why that's been such a great thing for you and your merchants.
Well, I mean, again, the biggest thing that people have a problem understanding is, the money's expensive, right? And the money's expensive. The reason they have a problem with it is because the money is expensive. There's no way around it. However, like Danny alluded to, you try walking into a bank and applying for a business loan, especially now. Let me tell you something. It's not easy. And the way that I sell it is, so if you can do an advance for somebody for $10,000, if they can turn that 10,000 into, triple it or quadruple it, then it's really a wash. So yeah, the money's expensive, but if they take that money and do something with it to grow their business, then yeah, sure. Again, yeah, they could have gotten the money. No, they couldn't have. Okay. Because they can't walk into a bank. Right. The other thing is it's a fairly easy process. Obviously there's a credit pull. Normally there's banks. I don't know. Yeah, the bank statements, things like that. But with me, I can look and see what each and every one of my merchants is processing on a daily basis by getting into the back office, which every single one of our agents has the ability to do. And so I can see what they're processing every single day. So I know what they can afford. And you want to make sure that they can afford it. So Cash Buoy is very flexible on certain things, and to make it affordable. So that's really kind of what I do. I look and see what the processing is daily, monthly, and these guys need the money, so they get it. And again, it's a pretty seamless process.
Okay, that's really weird. We're hearing an echo for some reason.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things to just remember with the cash advance program is to simplify it. Since it's an advance based on future receivables, almost every merchant out there can qualify for it if they're currently consistently processing, right? So if that's happening, like Brian's saying, check in the back office, make sure they are. We encourage you, talk to your current merchants, not just the new merchants, right? It's a great way to get in the door with new merchants. But even current merchants that you've got on the books, reach out to them, talk to them about it. Because there's a lot of that happening right now where merchants are kind of wondering if they can get into another PPP loan or what their options are. And they're wondering, right? And you can present that to them.
Let me tell you something too. Okay. Just when you think that, your merchant doesn't need the money, they all need the money.
Right.
They all need the money. Whether or not they'll bite off on it or not, that's a different thing. But they all need the money. So if you don't ask the question or you don't bring up the subject, you're never going to know.
All right, I'm getting a weird echo when Ryan's talking. Everybody getting that? But
nope, I can hear him just fine.
Okay, I don't know, guys. So I don't know if it's going to the feed. It may just be going to me. I'll figure it out. So one of the things I was thinking. Oh, I think I know what's going on. It is just going to me. All right, there we go. My computer decided to turn its speakers on. That's what I was getting. So one of the things I was thinking about this is it really does help you to be able to reaching out to your partners or your merchants all the time, because they're talking about how do they, maybe they need to make structural changes because they've realized for over the next year that that they're going to have to, make some construction things around in order, because things are not going to change for the next year, 2 years, or maybe ever. And so there are things they want to change about their business. Maybe they need to buy some more technology and be able to do the curbside checkout, and they want to purchase it instead of signing a long-term agreement, so they could do a short, merchant cash advance and do something through Cash Buoy to be able to do that. Maybe they just need a little pay to be able to pay a couple. They know that they have money coming in a couple of months, but they need to pay their employees right now, and they want to be able to do that. There's things that are legitimate, really important things, and they're looking for ways to go get capital, and they're talking to lots of people, and they should be talking to you as a partner, as an agent of PaperTech, as their person who's bringing merchant services to them. One of the things that we've learned, Danny and Brian, is that a lot of times these merchants are talking to someone, and if they're not talking to our partners that were out in the field, very likely it's a good chance you're going to lose that account. Right, Danny? Oh, I think we muted. Or something. What in the world's going on? Something's going on here.
All right,
there.
Things where like when they're interviewing a fugitive, and they don't want to, they cover their face and muffle their sound.
That's it. All right, are you back, Danny? I can hear you now.
Yep, I don't think I went anywhere. Can you guys hear me okay?
I gotcha.
Cool. Yeah, so like Brian said, I mean, everyone needs the money, right? So you're going to lose an opportunity if you don't bring it up to current merchants, existing merchants, new merchants. I mean, it's got to be a part of your conversation. Getting merchants capital right now, as there's still so much unknown with what's going on in the marketplace, depending on where these merchants are located. Bottom line is the majority of them need capital. They need money to help them keep going. And if they're currently processing, Cash Buoy and Cash Advance is a perfect scenario that can help them out.
And even if the merchant doesn't bite off right away, I mean, you can walk out of there, shake the guy's hand, and just say, you know what, if something changes, just let me know. You'd be surprised. A week, 2 weeks, a month down the road, they're like, man, you know what, I could use that $10,000. And
plant the seed.
Absolutely. The phone rings.
All right, so let's go on to our next topic because I want to talk this one here. One of the things you can do is reach out to your current partners and talk to them about cash discount. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Danny, and why is that so important for us to be having that conversation with all of our merchants, both on a revenue and a retention standpoint?
Yeah, so with the popularity of cash discount just kind of taking over, I don't have the exact percentages, but pre COVID-19, we were in the 50 to 60% range of new account submissions were cash discount. Obviously, the program's been very popular, so roughly a little more than half of our submissions were cash discounts. And looking at some of the data over the last 60 days, it's in the 70, mid 80% range of submissions or cash discount. Bottom line, more merchants are responding to this in a positive way and jumping into this program. So I think it's extremely important for all partners with a base, whether you've got 5 merchants or 500 merchants or 5,000 merchants, reaching out to them, because if you've got a portfolio of some decent size, you've got a lot of merchants on traditional pricing models. Maybe you've had them for a number of years and they're happy with where they're at. I'm telling you, with what's going on today, business owners are sensitive to fees that are coming off of their bottom line every month. And so the person that approaches them with the ability to eliminate those processing fees, you're going to see any loyalty that you might have with that merchant go out the window, and they're going to jump into a program like this. So it's extremely important to talk to your merchants about this that are on your current portfolio. And just so, like Brian was just saying, right, plant the seed. Whenever you can talk to a merchant about it, maybe they don't jump into it right away, but you'll be surprised whenever the phone rings 30, 60, 90 days from now when they do want to do the program. So you got to make sure that your merchants are aware that it's available, and you're going to be surprised at the response you get. And in doing so, you're going to take that account for maybe being priced very competitively at 5, 10, 20, 50 basis points. You're going to take that and triple, quadruple the revenue on the account to just see your portfolio grow.
What do you guys think when it comes to making sure that all your merchants are aware of cash discount and aware of the opportunity? How would you encourage our partner? Would you encourage them to reach out to every merchant that they don't have, that doesn't have cash discount, and just present that as an option right now?
Absolutely. And I say that because, again, everybody wants to eliminate fees, whether they say they do or not. And I think a lot of our partners, and I've talked to a lot of them, are afraid to bring it up because they just know that, well, no, it's this area, this is not a popular thing. And I get it. Okay. But not having a conversation will eliminate of you quadrupling. Okay, so to me, the risk is definitely worth in that. You don't even have to sell it. Just make sure that you're aware of it. I'll talk about the gas station, right? The gas station has been doing it for 100 years, where there's a cash price and a credit price, and it's on every sign. It's in every state. It's and how many people actually pull up to the pump and run in with cash and pay for gas? I mean, I'm sure there's a percentage, but I'm not one of them. I can tell you that. I'll pay the extra 9-10 cents a gallon. You pull up, put the card in, and you're off. So that's always the example that we use. I definitely think it's worth the conversation. Even if they don't bite off on it right away, it'll definitely give them something to think about.
All right, I think there's something on your end, Danny. I just tell you, when I mute you, because it is going out to the stream. I've confirmed that, and I'm not sure what it is. For some reason, we're getting all the mic back, and I think it's a Zoom thing, so I'm not sure. It's like I hear myself twice coming back off your feed, but when I mute you, I don't hear it now. So I'm not sure what that is. So we're going to learn and figure that out, and I will toggle your mute on and off, Danny, and as we try to finish this up. The other way that I see us being able to make additional revenue for our partners is them becoming what I call a little more it's a little more salesmanship. It takes a little more work to encourage them to not always take all of our placement deals. When they take placement deals, that means that we don't pay any commissions on those hardwares and the point of sales, just because we're actually, we don't start making money sometimes for 12, 24, 27 months. And so we obviously need to watch that. But if you are able to jump in and help a merchant come in and say, hey, buy this all now, don't get any extra contracts, pay cash and get all this, and we always see that we say all the time, pay cash and save. Well, sometimes they can pay, for their hardware. They can do it with Cash Buoy. That's one way to do it, or they could just be able to pay it. But it's a little harder sell. Danny, are you seeing more of our partners starting to think through that they can get like a $500 or $1,000 commission on several station deal when they actually sell it as a purchase and not just a placement?
A few partners still doing this. Obviously, the appeal of a placement is a much easier sell, right? If the merchant has qualifying volume, they're doing the cash discount program, they can qualify for these placements to where they're paying nothing out of pocket to get the stations, depending on all the hardware that they need, right? But partners are able to sell this. Let's just be honest, their placement programs are completely foreign for point of sale systems in our industry, right? So if you want this type of system, you got to pay for it. The majority of partners are still taking that approach, right? And either getting a Cash Buoy advance or the merchant's just paying out of pocket for that system that they've already gone through a consultation. They've done a demo. They know exactly what they're getting. They're paying for that system, and the partner's making even more additional revenue on the sale of the point of sale system as well. So, sell it the way that you need to sell it and what's best for your merchants. But remember the commission available whenever you do sell the system versus doing a placement. And by getting Cash Buoy involved, it can still make it minimal impact to the merchants to get into the system while still paying for it and maximizing your commission to actually buy the system instead of doing a placement.
So let's think through these numbers here a little bit. Let's take a merchant that's doing $15,000 a month, that they're on traditional interchange plus pricing, let's say 40 basis points and 3 cents, probably making, $30-$40 a month, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the month of residual. Let's say that merchant goes and gets a Cash Buoy merchant cash advance, switches to cash discount, and then buys a POS. Danny, what kind of commission additional revenue could you be creating on someone like that is, making those changes to a merchant they already were working with?
That's the whole gamut.
It is like an additional $500 to $1,000 in commission to be able to do that versus doing the placement option. I mean, every partner is going to try and go that route if they can, and whether the merchant has the capital or not, then getting Cash Buoy in. And I think the placement, although it's a great selling tool to get into more merchants and convince them to get into these systems, still using a system like Cash Buoy to offer an advance to get this merchant into this system at little cost to them up front and not having a big out-of-pocket expense is a great way to approach it.
Yep.
Well, and the other thing is, I mean, if our agents are listening to this and they want to know what the residual looks like compared to what they're getting now. I mean, the easy math, and I'm bad at math. You just take whatever they're processing and multiply it by 1%, and that's what you get. So if a merchant's processing $100,000, more than likely your residual on that's going to be about $1,000. Give or take, but I guarantee you that $100,000 merchant on traditional pricing, whether it be interchange plus or even tiered pricing, if we go back even to tiered, I guarantee you're not making $1,000 on that merchant. Guarantee you.
Well, and I think, guys, I mean, one of the things for sure is that the current merchants that you have, and a lot of our partners have hundreds and if not thousands of merchants. Those are the ones, if you can reach out and encourage them, you have $500,000, $2,000 worth of increased revenue over a year just by focusing for a period of time just on the merchants you have. And I think one of the things we encourage our partners to do is think, not only do we need new sales, because that's how you keep things growing, and you're going to lose, there's just going to be times that merchants choose to go with their brother-in-law or things, there's all kinds of things that can happen. But one of the things we can do is don't forget about the merchants you've already signed up, both in customer service, so they keep that revenue coming, and realizing that we have value-added options that will continue to give them, and that's why you should be continually reaching out. Danny, do you see a lot of times that a lot of our partners, or not just, or just partners, or just agents in our industry, are not reaching out enough to their current client base and their current merchants?
I do. I think that's actually something that a lot of people fail to do on a regular basis is the follow up and servicing your book, you know. And I mean, I'm guilty of it as well. I have a portfolio of merchants, and I don't reach out to them enough to just to check in and say hi. I do every now and then, but I don't do it enough. And I think especially right now with everything that's going on with these businesses, this is a prime opportunity for you to remember that trait and start reaching out to your current merchants, advising them of these programs, making sure they know you're there, so they don't go with that competitor that seems to be, you know, giving them everything that they want to hear, right? So it's something that is easy to do. You board a merchant, you take care of them, you get them installed, and then before you know it, it's been 6 months, it's been a year since you might have talked to them, right? So reach out to those merchants. Take the time to do it, because I'm telling you, a competitor is, and you know, you're gonna be at risk of losing some of those merchants if that's the case.
So, Brian, how do you challenge yourself to make sure you're keeping in constant contact with your current portfolio and the merchants that you're dealing with? Because you're so busy, you're taking care of all of our partners so much of the time. Is there a strategy you keep to make sure that you keep reaching out and connecting with the merchants that you already have?
Yeah, his name is Mike Thornsberry.
That's right. Yeah,
and you know, Mike, I can't speak highly enough of him. He's one of our agents here in Warsaw. Works out of this office, but he's never here because he's always out on the road doing his thing. But he does an amazing job for the company, not just for me, as far as like servicing our account. So, and I'm fortunate to have somebody like that, but again, this is the kind of thinking that our agents need to start thinking about. Is like, okay, you know what? Is it worth it to, you know, bring somebody on board and pay them X amount of dollars to go service the? I mean, I don't know. I mean, these are just different things. Again, I'm fortunate that I'm in this office and I'm able to do it with Mike. And again, I've told him since day one that I trust him. Going into every single one of my merchants. There's not one merchant that I don't trust him to walk in the door. So again, this is just some of the things that our agents need to think about, because everybody wants to sell, but then there's also the back end of servicing the account and taking care of the merchant. So those are things that and again, those are things that keep your merchants around for a long time.
Well, and I think, Danny, you would certainly say part of being an entrepreneurial-minded merchant and POS sales professional is thinking through that at a certain point, you need, as you grow your portfolio, one of your expenses that are going to be part of your expense set is maybe hiring someone or partnering with someone like Brian has to actually help be part of that extra piece of customer service to your current merchants, and also learn how to provide them with new opportunities and be able to give them new features like what we've been talking about, right?
Yeah, I think some of our more successful partner offices, especially as you get to having a large portfolio, you know, over 100, 200 merchants, is you kind of need that person, right? You need that extra help to kind of take that piece of it so you can continue focusing on sales. And I call it the white glove approach. We've got a lot of offices that do this, where they've got 1, 2, 3 people, depending on the size of their portfolio, completely dedicated to going out and maybe getting paper for their merchants, checking on them, maintaining a presence, and providing that additional level of service that they're not going to get from anywhere else. And then having those conversations, right? I still do think it's important that the person that, you know, initially sold them, that they really have the deeper relationship with, is the one that does some follow-up as well. But having that extra person there, if you can, if your portfolio is of that size, it's going to do nothing but help you, and you're gonna avoid that inevitable attrition.
Well, and that's so important of what we want to do with our partners, is help you grow your business in a way that does multiply, and you grow in a way that you need to hire some extra customer support and kind of create that strategy. And we have a lot of unique ways. Someday we'll just do the unique ways that we see people doing customer support, hiring different people, using their friends, their family. There's all kinds of ways to do that. But as we close up today, and the weird echoes that I'm getting and hearing multiple, I hear Danny and myself 3 times, but it's still Friday. It's going to be a great weekend. We get to finish up the first full week of August. As we finish up, Mr. Brian Linke, tell me, sir, what do you have to say to our partners as they get ready for the weekend about how to make this the best weekend ever and be ready for the second week of August?
Again, well, weekends are special to me, right? I mean, especially summertime weekends. It's supposed to be in the mid 80s here in Indiana, with not a cloud in the sky. So I'm looking forward to that. But just to our partners out there, let me tell you something right now. And I talk to people like, oh yeah, COVID this and and making all these excuses. I'm gonna tell you something right now. PayProTech is on fire. We are hot. We are. June 2020 was the best month of all time. July 2020 beat it. The first week of August looks like we're on pace to do even better than that. So I mean, if you want to work for a company and you want to sell for a company that nothing but good things are happening, this is it. And if you can't get excited about working for PayProTech, I'm just not sure what you can get excited about doing.
All right, and Mr. Danny Shard, what say you?
I love that. Yeah, it's been an amazing summer, all things considered, with what's going on around us. From a business perspective, though, things have been surprisingly good for our sales partners and the new deals and avoiding attrition. Our cancellations are down, which is one of the big numbers that I look at. Our volume is way up. So I know that we're going into school. Some markets are going into school, some aren't. But first week of August couldn't have started any better, and we're really excited about it. Have a great weekend.
All right, everybody, as we get finishing up here and we close up a high five, let me say to everybody, this is going to be your best weekend yet. You can choose to make it your best weekend. You can make sure that you are spending time with your family, spending time just getting away, and also just strategizing, thinking about how you can make more and more money on the portfolio you already have by helping your merchants, all kinds of great things. We say high five to everybody. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week at the High Five. Thanks for watching.